everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout Spot where you already know it's Real Talk Sports Talk, live from our other man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and let's talk boxing because this weekend it went down in Las Vegas. Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mexico against Mexico, Canelo Alvarez against Jaime Munguia in the main event. A fight that, in my opinion, did not disappoint. There were really no surprises. Actually, what happened is what I saw happening, but I give Jaime Munguia a lot of credit. We'll get into that in a second. But the whole card, this was a card that was put together by DAZN and PBC. And the whole card was pretty solid. And it all started with an action-packed first fight on the main card, was Stanionis against Mestre, a fight that took place at 147 pounds. Stanionis had been coming off a 2-year layoff, facing a very, very rough and rugged guy. In fact, they had actually fought each other in the amateurs. And this was your typical phone booth fight. I mean, hard shots in the pocket, to the head, to the body. I mean, there were exchanges pretty much consistently throughout the fight. But then later on in the fight, it looked like Mestre had faded a little bit. And, Stanionis was landing the more accurate, more harder shots to the head and to the body. He did have a very, very good last round. But at the end, Stanionis wins this fight by unanimous decision. And now that he's officially back, man, it's, hopefully he can stay active because, he packs a mean punch. He's, every fight that he's in is going to be an action-packed fight because he comes to fight in the phone booth, and everything he throws, like I said, seems to be very, very hard. You kind of get the sense that we missed out on a fight that was scheduled a couple of years ago between him and Vergil Ortiz Jr., and a fight that obviously, never happened. At the end of the day, that would have been a banger, based on styles. Hopefully they can make it happen again. I don't know if it happens anytime soon because, again, this fight was at 147. Vergil Ortiz Jr. is now fighting at 154. He'll be fighting against Tim Tszyu on that August 3rd card in Los Angeles. But, that would have been a really, really good one. And then the next fight we had was Brandon Figueroa against Jesse Magdaleno, a featherweight fight for Figueroa's title. And, this is a fight that I saw Magdaleno winning early on. He was landing some really, really good uppercuts while he was against the ropes. And as you know, Brandon Figueroa's style is to just fight, right there with his opponent, on top of his opponent, phone booth style, throwing a lot of punches both to the head and to the body. And then at the end of the day, in the later rounds, he landed a picture-perfect body shot right to the liver that put Magdaleno down, and he did not get up. So Brandon Figueroa wins that fight by knockout. It'll be interesting to see what is in store for him next. And then, like I mentioned, the co-main event, you had Mario Barrios against Fabian Maidana, who is the little brother of Marcos Maidana. And the crazy part about those two is that they look a lot alike, physically. They sound alike when they speak, but they do not fight alike at all. I mean, Maidana's style, as you know, was come forward, awkward, throwing all kind of different punches from different angle with power, trying to hurt and smother and overwhelm his opponent, where Fabian Maidana, is more of a calculated puncher. He's a sneaky puncher. He waits for the right shot to land, a good, well calculated and well placed shot. And he also moves a lot, so he doesn't really throw a lot of punches, which didn't bode well for him in this fight. Mario Barrios was the one that was pressing the action the entire night. In fact, he did actually land a vicious right hand that put Maidana down in the early rounds. I think it was in the second round. But Barrios, again, is more of a patient fighter. He's not that type of a finisher. So, he remained patient, trying to land another right hand, which he was trying to set up with a very good, strong jab that he had. But I'd like to see Barrios throw a lot more combinations. But it's tough. It's tough when you're facing a guy, realistically, that is just, he's just waiting to counter you. And in the second half of the fight, it looked like he was just trying to survive, the entire 12 rounds. It looked like he was not trying to win this fight at all. And I'm talking about Maidana. Barrios was basically pushing the action the entire night, landed the much cleaner and effective blows. He was the much better fighter by far. Kudos to Mario Barrios from start to finish. He was the better fighter, the more technical fighter. He landed the better shots, and he wins this fight by unanimous decision. And it'd be interesting to see what's next for him at 147. Maybe Stanionis and him, at the same weight division. That would be a very good fight. Barrios is fighting, with a lot of momentum right now. Having beaten Ugas in his last fight, and now this one by unanimous decision. I think it was a good call for him to go back, and train with Bob Santos. They look like they have a really good chemistry together. And then after that was obviously the main event, the fight that everybody was looking forward to, Mexico against Mexico, between Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia. And like I said, I mean, Munguia, he was game in this fight, man. I give him a lot of props. This is one of those fights that, your stock rises even in defeat, because he came to fight. He came to win this fight. Unlike the fight against Canelo and Charlo, where it looked like Charlo was just there for a paycheck, had no interest in trying to fight and win, and beat Canelo in that fight. Munguia actually went for it, and he was the aggressor in the beginning. I had him winning the first 2 to 3 rounds, and then in typical fashion, Canelo Alvarez, who usually gives away the first couple of rounds so that he can download data, on his opponent. That's exactly what he did. In the 4th round, he landed a vicious uppercut that put Munguia down for the first time in his career. And at that point in time, it really didn't stop Munguia, from trying to outland Canelo, be the busier guy. He threw a lot of jabs, and he hit Canelo a lot in this fight. Canelo is normally a very, very good defensive fighter in the pocket with his head movement, but with the volume of punches that Munguia was throwing, he was actually able to hit Canelo a lot. But I don't think there's a question that Canelo has the strongest chin in professional boxing, because this guy, I mean, he you can hit him flush and it doesn't even seem to faze him. He just continues to come forward with a calculated attack. He is precise. He still had that speed, that movement where, he can get inside, land that body shot. I mean, Canelo Alvarez is probably one of the best body punchers right now. Again, boxing's cash cow, probably, number 1 or number 2, depending on where you have him and Terence Crawford on the pound for pound list. And, he didn't skip a beat. And this was the fight that I predicted. I thought it would be good. But it also proved what I thought coming in, is I didn't think that Munguia from a level, from a skill level, was just at that point yet. Now, did the bright lights, affect him? No, he came out and he performed. He was not scared of the moment. He was not scared of Canelo. Again, he was pressing the action, but there were some mistakes, that he made that Canelo, again, a calculated guy like Canelo, is going to take advantage of. Canelo, again, sharp puncher, landed some really, really hard shots, landed the hardest shots, in the fight. He had hurt Munguia a couple of times, especially later on in the fight with a body punch as well. But I give kudos to Munguia. He never went down the rest of the fight. He fought to the end valiantly, but Canelo Alvarez proved why he is one of the best in the world. And, boxing's biggest cash cow right now. There's levels, and whether people want to say they think he's slowing down or not, I really didn't see, again, he may not be the same fighter he was, 5 or 6 years ago. Obviously, that's not going to be the case, but I really didn't see a lot of difference between the way he looked, this fight compared to the way he looked 3 fights ago. So, kudos to Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, after the fight, the biggest question, in the ring was, are you going to fight David Benavidez, who was actually in the crowd, yesterday, taking on the fight. And, he said what you probably thought he would say, right? He can do whatever he wants. There are plenty of people that wanted him to fight other guys, that he's fought, that nobody thought he could beat, and he's beaten them. If the money's right, he'd be willing to make that fight happen. But at this point in his career, he's earned the right to kind of pick and choose and call his shots, which is what he said in the ring. And it does. I mean, obviously, it's true. Canelo Alvarez's resume can't be denied right now. He is boxing's biggest cash cow, whether you want to say it's between him or Tank. I don't think it's a question. I think Canelo Alvarez is boxing's biggest draw right now. Will that change down the road? Possibly, obviously. But for now, I still think he's the top dog. And, this is the way boxing is, and he's earned his right to be able to call his shots. In my opinion, I don't see the Benavidez fight happening anytime soon. Definitely not in September. If I had to predict, I'd say they're going to probably put him against Edgar Berlanga in September. Puerto Rico against Mexico. Berlanga was at the weigh-in. I mean, he was in Las Vegas throughout the entire week. All the pre-fight festivities. You kind of saw Berlanga at some point or another being interviewed, by someone either at the Zone or PBC, and he's kind of made it clear, that's the fight that he wants next. There was one interview that I saw where he was asked, will, if that's the fight that he gets in September, will he take a tune-up before that fight in September? And he made it clear, like, no, September is the day that I'm waiting for, and it's going to be me and Canelo. And I don't know if the Zone or Eddie Hearn or anybody wanted him to purposely, let that cat out of the bag, but he was making it clearly obvious, that was going to be, the next fight for him in the cards. So that's the fight that I think will happen if I had to predict. In fact, if I had to bet, and I'm not a betting man, I bet that'd be the fight that'll happen. Now, is it the fight that should happen? In my opinion, no. I mean, again, I rocks with Berlanga. I'm a huge Berlanga fan, but at the end of the day, I just don't think that he's ready for that next level. If you saw Munguia, who is, in my opinion, a much more skillful fighter at this point in his career than Berlanga, the busier puncher. Berlanga doesn't throw as many punches as Munguia does. If you saw Munguia struggle from a skill perspective, what do you think will happen to Edgar Berlanga? And again, you can never count out a guy who has that one hitter quitter. Berlanga has that one punch knockout power, but he's facing a guy, like I said, that I don't think anything that Berlanga will throw will be able to hurt Canelo. That's just my opinion. If I were Berlanga, I'd fight Caleb Plant. I mean, Caleb Plant was there. There were videos that surfaced, that both of them had some words. Berlanga, threatened to knock him out whenever they fought. It looks like Caleb Plant is looking for that fight next. If he can get that fight, that would be a good fight for Berlanga. But that would also be another fight where I would side on Caleb Plant, because Caleb Plant is extremely skilled. I mean, he can move, he can box, and people, kind of criticize his power, but we saw what he did one punch against Anthony Durrell. He's precise and he has speed. And when you hit somebody at the right shot with that generated speed, there's going to be some power behind it, and you're going to be able to hurt somebody. So I wouldn't sleep on Caleb Plant's power at all. I think that would be a great fight. If they were to be able to make that happen, I'd forget about Canelo if I were Berlanga. But the pay, that's a huge payday. So I don't think that he's going to want to shy away from that. I think that's another big reason why he wants this fight, because he wants to get this bag. But at the end of the day, that's how I saw yesterday's fights. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, if you're new to watching my videos, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and make sure you come back and you are here for the ride. There are plenty of other big fights and videos that I'm going to be making in the next couple of weeks. A lot of good interviews with some special guests, are on the docket. So make sure you tune in. And as always, I appreciate the love and support. This is your boy Johnny, signing out from the Hangout Spot, and I'll talk to everybody soon.